All right, let's talk about the Charleston Day School. This is a K through 8 facility based in Charleston, South Carolina. It is one of the most prestigious and most expensive private institutions in South Carolina. If you're a parent of a kindergartner who attends this school, you're going to be shelling out about $20,000 a year. If you're the parent of a kid in one of the higher grades, you could pay up to $28,000 a year. So it's not cheap. And if you've got that kind of cash, you are probably not considered a low income. But we did some reporting on this school back in the spring of this year. And as we uncovered, Charleston Day had some curious accounting and some curious numbers as it justified some of the federal loans it applied for during and in the immediate aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. The school took about $500,000 in PPP loans, but it took another $77,000 in money from a program called Emergency Assistance for Non-Public Schools. And again, I've got no problem with folks taking advantage of those resources. It was a difficult time. A lot of places, including nonprofits, including academic institutions, they needed that money to make payroll. So I get it. I'm not going to criticize the school. However, on the application for the supplemental money, this emergency assistance for non-public school monies, there was something very interesting. The school's application noted that almost 51% of its students were low income. In fact, we're going to pull it up right here. This is their actual application right there, 50.78% right there. Now, when we first reported on this, we got a lot of blowback, people. A lot of folks called me a liar. They said there's no way this school would have ever represented that. It's one of the richest schools in the state, right? But again, there it is. The document doesn't lie. 50.78% right there. But it's the context here that's troubling. Because this wasn't just a scandal about alleged misappropriation of money. There was something bigger here. Because it turns out that one of the trustees at Charleston Day attempted to hold the school accountable for this back in January. Now, when I called the school in March, when all of this had blown up in the public eye, thanks to FITSNews coverage, the school told me that they had done everything they could to comply with the letter and the spirit of the law regarding these federal programs. Okay, that's well and good, but when the trustee attempted to fix the situation 2 months earlier, which may have prevented all of this from blowing up, that trustee was kicked off the school board. But actually worse than that, not only that, the trustee's 3 kids were kicked out of the school. So let me see if I get this right. Misappropriate funds, allegedly, throw the trustee off the board who tries to fix the situation, and just to drive the point home, kick the guy's 3 kids out of school. Look, I'm a huge advocate for private education. Or actually, not private education. I'm a huge advocate for school choice. I'm an advocate letting parents have the money they need to make the best choices for their kids. And more importantly, I'm a believer that if you do that, you create a market where, guess what? There's actual accountability instead of this ridiculous government-imposed accountability that we see failing so egregiously across South Carolina. But this kind of corruption would put any public school district to shame, people. It's exactly the sort of thing you'd expect to see at one of these failure factories, in rural South Carolina, where basically the whole thing is just a jobs program and an excuse for people to reward their cronies and their family members. But this is a vendetta, people. This is mob-type behavior from this school. Now, as I reported back in March, information regarding these alleged financial irregularities on the part of Charleston Day was provided to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And in fact, I've since confirmed that information regarding these alleged irregularities was not only provided to the U.S. Attorney's Office, but also the Office of the South Carolina Attorney General, Alan Wilson. So we've got 2 different prosecutorial agencies which were provided information related to this. And just this week, in fact, we received a report which detailed not only the alleged misappropriations, but alleged retaliatory action in response to them. And I guess you can only assume they're talking about that very situation that we referenced back in our reporting in the spring. But either way, here's our promise to you as a parent in South Carolina, as somebody as a taxpayer here in the Palmetto State, whether your money's going to a government-run school or whether it's tax money that's somehow routed to a private school, we're going to hold those who get that money accountable, particularly, folks, particularly when they misuse it and try to cover it up.